Starting out with primer, this is the primer that came in the Jaclyn Hill and Becca face palette. I really like it. Once that's on, you can go ahead and move on to foundation. This is the DIOR Forever Foundation. This is my first time trying it, and I gotta say, I love it. As soon as I can, I'm gonna go out and buy the bottle. It's super thin, it's buildable coverage. I went walking for 3 miles the other day, and when I got home, it still looks super fresh, not even lying. So what I like to do is apply it with a brush, and then I'll go in with my damp beauty blender and blend it all out. It is buildable, so on areas like my cheeks, I get really red, so I like to apply a little bit more. Today I needed a little bit on my forehead and my chin too, so I just added a little bit more, and then of course, go in and blend it all out. Once you feel like you have everything blended out very well, you can go ahead and move on to eyes. I always start by brushing my brow hairs up and back, and then I go straight into primer. I love using Soft Ochre Paint Pot by MAC because it is a concealer looking type of color, so it'll get rid of any discoloration on your lid, but it'll also keep everything in place. I'm going to set it with a face powder. This is the Care Blend powder, and I'm just applying this powder from like the brow bone all the way over the lid, pretty much the entire eyelid area. So for eyeshadows, we're going to be working out of the Full Exposure palette, and the first shade we're going to be using, I believe, is M2. I'm not really sure, but it's like they're all pretty much in order. It is a matte shade, so it's the second lightest brown. You'll see, I mean, it's in the palette. So I like to apply it with a 217 just to get it in the crease, and then I'll go in with a 224 brush and buff out all the edges so that it's not harsh and there's no blunt lines. Next, I'm going to take the darkest brown, and I'm going to take the same brush, the 217, and I'm bringing it in just a little closer on the eyelid. It's not so much on the outer corners, it's more on the eyelid, and then I'm going to work the inner corners as well, and then I'm going to make those the same color, but the inner and outer corner meet right in the middle. So you want to make sure that your eyeshadow matches, and then if you have any blunt edges, make sure to buff those out. For the eyelid color, I'm taking this Soft Serve eyeshadow by MAC. It is called Bounce Around. There's tons of other colors, but this stuff is so glittery and cushy, it's amazing. To apply it, you want to take a dense synthetic brush and you want to press it in place. This stuff showed up super opaque and really glittery, and I didn't add any Fix Plus or any additional eyeshadow primer. This is still the first layer of the Soft Ochre Paint Pot on my eyelid right now. So you just want to press it in place. You can kind of smash it left to right, but you don't want to be like really messy with it. There is absolutely no fallout with this stuff, which I was shocked. This is pretty similar to MAC's Pressed Pigment, but this is so much easier to use and there's zero fallout. Be sure to soften up the edges just a little bit so that the eyeshadows don't clash and it doesn't look super choppy. I decided to use a liquid eyeliner today because this particular one is super dark. It dries very quickly and I can get a very sharp wing with it. It is the NYC liquid liner, and I couldn't really film myself on camera. I'll get there, but for now I don't know how to film myself without getting out of frame. But once your eyeliner is on, you can move on to highlighting and concealing. For concealer, I'm using the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and I like to use the shade Custard. I've been wanting to try other colors, but for now I have Custard. So I start by applying it in this sort of wide triangle-ish kind of shape, and then of course go in with my damp beauty blender, and then I just press it in place and try to make the edges of the concealer blend seamlessly with the foundation. Yo. Now once my concealer was on, I could still see a little bit of darkness right underneath my eyes, like right in the corner of my eye. So I'm taking a color correcting concealer. So this is in the shade NW30. It is like a salmony orangey kind of shade, so I'm applying that where it's darkest and then of course blending it all together, and this will help diminish the appearance of the darkness. I'm going to immediately lightly set under the eye. You want to do this as fast as you can so that under your eyes doesn't have the chance to start creasing. And you don't want to bake, you want to set it, and then later on you can bake if you want to. To highlight the rest of my face, I'm taking these Prep and Prime highlighting pens. I'm starting off with the shade Light Boost, and I'm going to apply that in the center of the face, and then on top of it I'm going to be taking the shade Light, and I'm going to just place it exactly where I put the other one, and then of course with the brush blend it in, and then further blending with a damp beauty blender, and then of course setting it lightly with the Laura Mercier translucent powder. Once you've set all of your concealer and your highlighter, you want to make sure that you set the rest of the foundation. So I'm taking a very small amount of the Laura Mercier translucent powder on a kabuki brush and just drawing the foundation so that way when I go in with other powder products, they glide on very easily. Now for brows, I'm just going to lightly tint with the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Definer. I'm not really shaping out my brow too much, I'm just filling it in, and then I'm using a eyeshadow. This is Brune by MAC, and I'm just going to use that to underline and really carve out and darken up the brow just a little bit. To bronze and contour the face, I'm using Chocolate Soleil by Too Faced, and I always start off by carving out my cheekbones. I just draw a pretty straight line from the top of the ear, aiming towards the corner of the mouth, and then I'll slightly drag the color along the hairline and then apply a generous amount on the top of the forehead, and then I will work my way down to the jawline, a little bit under the lip, sometimes on the Cupid's bow, just to create a shadow right there, and then of course the sides of the nose, just so that I can have some color in the center of my face as well. Now this next step is super important. This is going to be the step that makes everything look very seamless and more natural but super flawless. I'm taking the Real Techniques buffing brush. This is a synthetic foundation brush, and without anything on it, there's no foundation, nothing, it's just completely clean. I'm going to blur out the edges of the bronzer and really press the product into the skin so that it's not sitting on top of the foundation, it's pressed into the foundation and it looks like your actual contour. To finish up the eye makeup, I'm taking that first brown shadow, smudging that on the lower lash line, and then I'm going to take the darker eyeshadow that we used in the crease on an angled brush, and I'm going to press that directly into the roots of the lashes, and then go back in and blur it out just a little bit. And then I'm going to fill in my waterline with this gold waterproof pencil by Sephora. It's called Cookie Crunch, and then I'm going to move on to mascara. I went ahead and applied mascara off camera. And then once that is done, we can move on to this bad boy, and I'm going to start with blush. This is called, I think it's called Rosé Spritz, and I'm going to press that along my cheeks. Right away I realize that this is intensely pigmented. Like, you just need like half a dab of it and you have a really nice strong blush. For me, I felt like it was a little bit too much, so I went ahead and got a powder. This is the Mineralized Skin Finish in Medium Plus, and I just pressed that on top just so that it wasn't just sitting on top of the skin. I pressed it in and diffused it just a little bit. So we are just about done. We're just going to apply some lipstick real quick. This is Cherish by MAC, one of my all-time favorite nudes, and I'm going to top it off with Tanorama. This I think is going to be discontinued, so if you can get your hands on it, definitely get it. It's really pretty to put on top of other lipsticks, but it's like the illusion of a gloss without having that sticky texture. Okay, sorry about that gigantic hair. I just wanted to get it down. Anyway, So the last step for me, and if you're oily like me, this is the last step for you too. You want to go ahead and set your face with a setting spray. I like this one because it's a mattifying spray. And then this is optional, but just to really make sure that my T-zone doesn't get really shiny throughout the day, I like to take either a blotting powder or a translucent powder, and I like to set the center of my face. This will completely mattify you and really make sure that your makeup doesn't get really shiny throughout the day. So that's it for me, guys. I really hope you liked my video, and I'll see you in another one soon. Bye.